Okay, so given these choices, let's see what I want to go with here. I've kind of been feeling the hunter a little bit lately. So, yeah, let's go with
Let
the
the
hunter
hunt begin.
for our first one here. And let's see what we can do. Alright, so given these options, let's see. Start of the turn, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. Kinda cool, kinda cool. With the 4 health, fairly durable. Kinda like that. 5 damage to a minion, 2 damage to adjacent ones. That's kind of cool. Kind of specifically useful though, because to really get the most out of that card, there's going to have to be at least 3 enemy minions in play, and ideally, if I'm managing the game properly, that shouldn't hardly ever be the case. So I'm thinking the usefulness of that particular card is a bit selective, especially in an arena scenario. Each player draws 2 cards. Now, obviously, I like drawing cards, but I don't necessarily want to give my opponent the ability to draw cards as well. So I think, given these 3 choices, this is the one that I'm feeling the most. Okay, so has charge while you have a weapon equipped. Now, I'm always hesitant to take minions or cards that are contingent on weapons when building an arena deck because you just never know when you're going to get a weapon, if you're even going to have the potential to draw one. Um, and also looking at this 4/5 Wind Fury for 6, that looks automatically a lot more tempting. But let's take a look at this last one here. Whenever this minion takes damage, give +3 attack. So, these enrage guys, they're selectively useful. Like, usually they don't have enough health to really be exciting to me, but given that this one's starting with 7, I have to at least consider it, because if he gets hit and doesn't die, then that means he's automatically a 5/7 at a 5 cost. But with the Wind Fury here, potentially an 8/5 at a 6 cost without having to take damage to actually be able to put that out there. So I'm thinking, given the choice and having to rely on being damaged but not killed to activate this, I'm going to go with the 4/5 Wind Fury for 6. Alright, so let's see. Secret: when your opponent plays a minion, deal 4 damage to it. Cool. However, I've found from experience using this card that sometimes it works against you. Like, in other words, when you have this secret out, it ends up getting wasted on like a 2/1 or a 2/2 or a 1/3 minion or something like that, where it seems cool, and it is cool, but also, given the limited ability to pair it with other things in an arena deck, I think I'm going to pass on it for this one. Um, 2 damage for 1 mana is always nice, but whenever a minion dies, gain 1 attack. Could be cool. Could be cool. I think I'm going to lean more towards minions in this build than I am towards spells and secrets and such. I'm just going to try to get as many minions out as possible. So I'm going to go with this guy. And as we can see, I have another chance at the deal 2 damage for 1 mana, so let's see if these other ones are compelling. For each enemy minion, summon a 1/1 hound with charge. So that's good for just getting a bunch of minions out if I fall behind on the minion parity, but looking at this other choice, minion +2 attack and this turn, yeah, I think if I'm gonna spend 1 card slot here, and given that I passed on this last time, I'm gonna grab this deal 2 damage for 1 mana, because that has a lot of utility to it. I could combine that with a minion attack. I could just do it directly to a hero. I could take out a low-level minion. There's a lot of utility in that for 1 mana. So let's grab that. Okay, so 6/5 Taunt, definitely one of my favorite cards. This almost always ends up in every actual custom deck that I build. So it's going to have to be a pretty compelling choice for me not to take that. Silence a minion, not bad, but only 1 durability or 1 health on both of these alternatives. And the Taunt, I, I just got to go with the 6/5 Taunt. Okay, whenever you summon minion with Death Rattle, gain +1/+1. Cool, but again, I haven't chosen any minions with Death Rattle so far, and there's no guarantee that I will later on in the deck. So I'm thinking I'm going to pass on that. So this Enrage is tied to a weapon, so that automatically makes that less attractive. Restore 3 health on the battle cry. 3 summon and 3/3 attack defense plus that battle cry, I think makes that a pretty obvious choice. Okay, whenever you cast a spell, gain +2 attack this turn. Not planning on doing a lot of spell casting in this deck, so that's not particularly useful. Swap the attack and health of a minion. Could be interesting. Could be an interesting battle cry. Let's see what else we got here. 5 damage to a minion and 2 damage to the adjacent ones. Again, we said this is selectively useful, and because I am going heavy minion focus on this build, let's go with this guy. And let's see, battle cry. Return a friendly minion from the battlefield to your hand. I've seen this used by other players, and it never seems to work out for them, and I've never really liked this battle cry, so I think I'm going to try to avoid it. This minion looking pretty sweet, and given the reversal of strength and attack, or health and attack that I just got off that other minion's battle cry, and also to get another taunt in my hand, pretty compelling there. But let's just take a look at this last one first. Return a friendly minion from the battlefield to your hand. So really, if I want to avoid that battle cry, which I think I do, and I want to get another taunt in my hand, again, another pretty obvious choice. So Enrage, your weapon, yeah, not really into that. Deal 3 damage to the enemy hero, it's kind of cool. 4/4 on a cast, +3 to the damage for the extra 1 mana on the cast. Pretty compelling. Look at the top 3 cards in your deck, draw 1 and discard the others. Too risky, because if I end up having to discard something I would have really liked and having to make some sort of Sophie's choice in the middle of a battle, I'm not really feeling that. Let's go with the battle cry instead. Okay, they really want me to take this, do 5 damage to a minion and 2 damage to the adjacent ones. It's come up 3 times now, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm not really feeling that card, unless I have no other choice. Not a big fan of these can't attack minions, especially when you don't have the ability, or you're not likely to have the ability to put taunt on them. That's the only time I really feel like these are at all effective, and I'm not going to take a risk of that ability coming up. Let's see, at the end of your turn, give another random friendly minion +1 health. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, and 2 attack for a 1 mana cost is pretty nice. And given my tendency to want to avoid that explosive shot, I'm going to go with this. Let's see, whenever a friendly beast dies, gain +2/+1. Cool. Potentially cool. Spell damage buff, not really excited about that. Deal 2 damage on the battle cry. Unfortunately, only 2 durability makes this kind of a throwaway minion, and that casting cost I think is just a little too high. So we'll go with this 2/2 with the potential buff. And let's see, destroy a random enemy minion. I don't like the random aspect of that. If that was a 2 mana cost, that might be more worth it. But for 3, it seems like too much of a risk to not really be able to use it. I mean, I guess if I'm managing the enemy minion count well, then theoretically there shouldn't only be a few minions to choose from for that random minion. But let's see what else we got before we consider taking that. Your beasts have charge. Kind of cool. Kind of decent durability. I wish there was a little more attack on that for it being a 5 mana cost, but something to consider at least. Give a friendly beast +2/+2 and taunt. I've definitely used this before, and I do like the ability to give things taunt. It's a pretty decent amount of damage, not a great amount of health, but potentially useful. Yeah, we'll go ahead and grab this and see how many more beasts we can get in the deck through the end of the build. Alright, summon 2 1/1 Spectral Spiders, always a handy card, especially if you're trying to get a lot of minions out early to potentially act with buffs and spells that are predicated on the number of minions in play. Really don't like throwaway cards, which is what I tend to refer to as cards without any kind of special ability associated with them. Wouldn't mind picking up another one of these 6/5 taunts, although I am a little bit concerned about the deck being too mana heavy. Although these really don't grow on trees in arena decks, so the idea to get 2 of them in a single deck is pretty satisfying or pretty seductive. So let's go ahead and grab that. Just got to be careful not to go too mana heavy here, because we don't want to end up with a bunch of stuff in our hand that we can't cast until the late game. So destroy your opponent's weapon, potentially interesting. This is a decent throwaway card just because the health is pretty high, so that's something to consider. And 3 damage to 2 random enemy minions. Potentially useful, but I think for the same mana cost, I'd rather have a minion out. So let's go with that. Okay, taunt. Could be interesting, although I do have a couple of pretty big taunts in here already. Destroy a random enemy minion. Not really feeling that. Deal 3 damage. Randomly split between all other creatures. So this is kind of tempting, although I would assume that this means this can hurt me as well, which is probably why the casting cost is so low. This is probably one of those deals where when he comes out, I could end up taking damage myself for playing him, so I'm a little bit reluctant to do that. I think I might just play it a little safe and boring and grab the taunt, just so that I have a potential stopgap if I need to just throw a taunt up to distract from another minion that I want to be able to attack with on a subsequent turn. So let's go ahead and grab that. I think we probably only need one of those though, so this is gonna be alright. Plays a minion, deal 4 damage to it. Given these choices, I mean, I might take the Murloc just to have a charge and another early game potential card, and this can have good utility since it's going to be a 2 casting cost anyway. Yeah, let's go for that. We got a pretty good distribution through the deck here. We're kind of low on 5s at the moment, so that's something I might want to consider if the opportunity presents itself. Wind Fury and 1 attack for 3. Restore 3 health for 3. I already have one of these. And Death Rattle. Definitely don't want to give our opponent a card, so that's out. I've used these in other decks before, and it never seems like you get to benefit from the Wind Fury because this card usually just ends up getting killed. So I think something that restores health, even though I already have one of these, I'm going to go with it again. And let's see, spell damage, 4/4 for 4, plus the spell buff. Pretty cool, although I'm not really going to be doing any spells. Summon a 2/1 Mechanical Dragonling. Yeah, this is a good card just because it gets 2 minions out for 1 cast, but the damage potential on them isn't great. So let's see, here is a 5. Whenever you summon a beast, draw a card. That's kind of cool. Only 2 durability though, and only 3 damage for that 5 cost. And the fact that I don't really have a ton of beasts in this deck, I'm thinking it's not worth it. So I'm going to take this 2 minion off a single cast option instead. And let's see, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. That's cool. Nice durability for that 5 cost. I think that might be the 5 that I've been waiting for. Deal 2 damage, already have one of those. Give minion +2 attack this turn. A little bit too transient an ability, and for 4 cost to only do 1 base, or, oh, sorry, 4 base damage. Tempting. This is tempting, although sometimes you run into a problem where you just have trouble getting minions out and their ability to attack on a subsequent turn. And I feel like this card goes a long way to helping with that sometimes. So let's go ahead and grab this, especially because I'm looking for 5s at this point. So let's see, how many we got left here? 19, so 11 more. Give adjacent minions taunt. This is always a great card, especially in a deck where you don't have a lot of taunts to begin with. So that's what I'm definitely seriously considering. 1 damage to this minion and summon a 1/1 imp. This card's fun. I've definitely used it to good effect to just get a bunch of minions out early in the game. And had I not had this as an option, I probably would have taken this. But given the taunts are so useful, this seems like a no-brainer. So go ahead and grab that. Enrage, we've already discussed this one and why I'm not taking it. Given a minion +2 attack this turn. Meh. 4 mana cost to get a 2/7 out. You know, given that I'm not really buffing a lot in this deck, like I don't have a lot of ability to increase the attack power of existing minions other than for a single turn, I'm thinking this card isn't going to be particularly valuable, especially given the mana cost associated with getting it in play. And we're a little low on 1s right now, at least relative to 2s and 3s and 4s. So let's go ahead and grab this, kind of balance that out. And then let's see, deal 1 damage off the battle cry. Unfortunately, neither of these stats is a 3 despite the 3 casting cost, so that's on the bubble for consideration. Not necessarily a no-brainer. Whenever a friendly beast dies, gain 2/1. Potential there. I've got some other beast cards, so some potential use there. 3 costs to summon something with 1 health. Little sketchy. I mean, the Divine Shield definitely helps to make that a bit more attractive, but I'm also a little bit reluctant to take that. I think building up the beasts in play, given that I do have some beast affecting cards, makes a bit more sense. So let's go ahead and grab this. And let's see, restore 3 health, already 2 of these in the deck, so let's look at our other options. Silence a minion, kind of cool for 4/3, that's not bad. It's good for removing a taunt or a special ability or something like that. Yeah, I think given that I already have 2 of these, let's go with the silence. And let's see, 8 more. Or sorry, 7 more. Let's see, look at the top 3 cards. Already established I'm not found at that risk. Drawing a card on the death rattle is always nice. I don't really have anything for drawing cards in this deck either. And this one is a weapon buff off the enrage. So even though it's a 5, and I've kind of been looking for some 5s to fill this out, I think I'm going to grab the death rattle instead. And here's another one of those Wind Fury cards. This one a 4/5. Yeah, I think this is the same one I drew earlier, or very similar. And your opponent draws a card. No way I'm going to do that. Spider's cool. But I think I'd like to get this Wind Fury out. A little more damage potential. A little bit more to scare the opposition with. And let's see, detail damage. Could be useful to have another one of those if there's nothing better. I already got one of these. And, okay, here's the 3/1 charge for 3. You know, I think I'd rather be able to do the damage, honestly, than worry about a selective situation where this one might be useful. Yeah, let's grab the damage. And let's see, 1/1 Divine Shield, not feeling that. Summon a 2/1 Damage Golem. This one's kind of cool. It's like a free card. 1 and 4 for the taunt. 3 mana cost for that's a little bit high. But yeah, I think if I'm gonna spend 3 mana, I'd rather have more damage potential for that 3 mana. Go ahead with that. Give a friendly beast 2/2 and taunt. Already have one of these in my hand, but they can play off of each other, so that's potential. That charge I'm not really feeling. That damage 4 I'm not really feeling. Let's go ahead and grab another one of these, I guess. Okay, this is that weapon 5 again. Not really in love with that. This little guy's always fun because he does damage to the enemy hero when he dies, and he's only a 1 cost, so that's kind of cool. Give a minion +2 attack this turn. Not really in love with that. Although I probably could use, well, given the card distribution or the mana distribution in this deck, I think I will take the 1. And let's see, down to my last card here. So here's a bow, 3/2 bow. This actually would have a weapon, but I didn't take any of those cards that would buff the weapon. So that's something to consider. All minions lose stealth. Destroy all enemy secrets and draw a card. Interesting to draw a card, but I feel like I'd be wasting a card to draw a card. So it's really down to whether or not I want to take this damaging spell or the weapon. And I think given that I'm low on 5s in this deck, I think I finally will break down and take one of these as my last card, because I don't think the weapon's going to be that particularly useful. I mean, it's only doing 1 more damage per turn than my hero ability would, and I only get to use it twice. So I don't think it's really that great. I think this might be more useful, honestly. So go ahead and grab that. And we will see how this fares. Feeling pretty decent about that build. I don't necessarily think I got everything that I wanted out of that. Like, there's definitely some cards I would have liked to have seen come up, especially hunter-specific cards. But that's kind of the nature of arena decks when you get down to it. You very rarely get exactly what you wanted. It's more about making the best of what you do get.
Rexa versus Jaina. You asked for it.
Let the hunt begin.
Alright, so we got a good initial draw, or a good initial play here at least. Gonna have to wait a while to utilize these other ones, but at least we've got some minions to play. So let's see how things proceed. Good to get this guy out on the first turn, that'll be nice, for sure. Let's see what happens. Come on, enemy. Come on, what are you thinking about? He's thinking very carefully about his cards. Oh, it's funny. I spent all that time avoiding that spell and I get it on my first draw. Nice. Alright, well.
I feel icky.
Let's do this like a Brutus. So at the very least, even if they manage to kill that thing right off the bat, they're gonna at least take the 2 damage, and it looks like they're not even gonna get. So now they're gonna take 4. So that's pretty sweet.
Give me a big hug.
Job's done.
Yeah, pretty psyched about that. So let's see. So this will be my 3. We'll be able to get him out. Yeah, nice. It's good initial damage on them. Pretty, like I say, pretty pleased about that. I haven't taken any damage yet, so no reason to bring out the healer. Let's bring out this one instead.
Job's done.
And then if I take some damage, it'd be good to bring, or this minion gets damaged. It'd be good to bring that out and heal them, or potentially bring this out first, depending on how things go.
What to do? What to do?
She clearly got some big cards in her hand, because she hasn't played anything yet, so I do have to be at least a little bit careful. Oh man. I definitely do want to get that thing taken care of. But of course now it's got 3 health, which is unfortunate. Gotta prioritize that as a target though, for sure.
I wonder.
I think given the circumstances though, I need to get my damage potential out there as quickly as possible. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll bypass it this turn with the idea of taking it next turn.
Job's done.
See what she's got. Wonder what that secret is. It's not armor, so it might be. It's not copy a minion. Cool. Okay, so nice. I can actually kill that thing with this, which is ideal. And then, whatever, friendly. Does gain +2. So that's a golem. It's not really going to benefit me. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take this out. Okay. Cool. Okay, so with 5 left in the tank. Yeah, let's go ahead and get these guys out.
Moves quickly.
You shall not pass.
Job's done.
Alright, had to think about that a little bit, but I think I made the right play there. And then on the 6th turn,
Squire, attend me.
probably bring
Ready,
this guy
sir.
out. Yeah, we'll heal that taunt probably. Yeah, he still doesn't have any damage potential out, so that's good. 3 damage to the enemy hero. Yeah, no, we'll do this first.
My eyes are open.
And so we shall see. So we'll take you out. And for 2/2, nothing else worth trading there. So we'll do that. And then we shall do that.
Job's done.
And call it a round. Yeah, this is good. Got her down to 12 already. Feeling pretty good about that.
Pass me that arc light spanner.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's see, with 7 potential. Man, all my 5s are coming up at once. It's kind of annoying. Alright, let's see. 3 damage to the enemy hero. Actually, this might be a good time to play this. 2 to the adjacent ones. Yeah, I guess. Unfortunately, they're not positioned correctly to really take advantage of that, but I can at least get the elemental down. Well, let me hold off on that for a turn. Let's look at doing damage to the enemy hero and
They'll never know what hit 'em.
getting the minions balanced. Anything I'd want to do here other than this? No. And let's see, anything I want to do? No.
Quickly.
That.
Job's done.
And I believe as long as I survive this round, which I darn well should at 30, I got this. Because my hero power can just kill him.
Give me a quest.
You win this.
Alright. Nice. Good solid initial victory there. Pretty pleased about that. Pretty much went as well as could be expected, to be honest. Definitely feel like I'm starting to get a better handle on this whole arena deck thing. So hopefully this will continue.